The weight of exhaustion drags at my shoulders as I fumble with my keys, barely noticing the familiar click of the lock. Another day of endless meetings, forced smiles, and pretending I don't feel like I'm drowning. All I want is the quiet of my apartment, the one place that belongs entirely to me. I drop my bag by the door, the soft thud echoing in the silence, and reach for my phone on the hallway table where I left it this morning. The screen lights up with a notification. A video message from Aunt Susan. Weird, she never sends videos. I hesitate, thumb hovering over the play button as I sink into my armchair, the one that still smells faintly of my grandmother's perfume. Normally that scent is comforting. Tonight though, something feels off. A whisper of unease trails down my spine. I press play. The screen flickers to life, showing my parents' living room. The same room where I spent so many holidays, hoping, just once, I'd feel like I belonged. Then I hear my mother's voice, sharp, laughing. But not the polite, measured tone she uses with me. It's almost too easy. The cruel edge in her words makes my breath catch. The camera shifts, and Dad leans into the frame, his face flushed, probably from his third or fourth glass of wine. Our little ATM, he chuckles. My stomach drops. Just mention family obligation, and she empties her savings, Mom adds, her voice thick with satisfaction. Laughter erupts around the room. Then Ethan chimes in, my brother. The person I thought I was helping. She didn't even ask what it was for. Their laughter grows louder, filling my quiet apartment, bouncing off the walls, pressing in until I can barely breathe. My hands shake so badly I almost drop the phone, but I can't look away. Every word hammers another crack into what I thought was truth. Memories flash through my mind. Mom's frantic calls about overdue bills, Dad showing up at my office, demanding I help with the mortgage. Ethan's endless. Emergencies always needing just a little more money. I thought I was helping. I thought I was being a good daughter, a good sister. She's so desperate to be the good daughter, Mom sneers. And then, like a knife twisting, remember when she skipped her vacation to pay for the roof repairs? I remember, working overtime, giving up trips, pushing off my own dreams. All for them. For people who see me as nothing more than a walking bank account. My chest tightens. Every breath feels like swallowing glass. The video keeps playing, but their voices blur beneath the roaring in my ears. I grip the armrest, fingers digging into the fabric. I need something to hold on to, something solid, because my world is tilting, breaking apart, and I don't know how to stop it. Then I see the timestamp, yesterday. A small family gathering I was too busy to attend. Too busy working extra hours to rebuild my savings after Ethan's latest crisis. A notification pops up. Aunt Susan. Oh God, Lily, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to send that to you. Please delete it. But she did send it, and I can't unsee it. I replay the video. Once, twice, again. Each time the truth becomes clearer. The casual cruelty in their voices. The way they planned it used me without a second thought. The complete lack of love when they speak my name. My phone buzzes. An incoming call. Mom. Her smiling contact photo fills the screen, the same smile she wears when she needs something. And, for the first time in my life, I don't think I'll answer. My finger hovers over the answer button, years of conditioning urging me to pick up, to smooth things over, to keep the peace at any cost. But for the first time, I see it for what it is. A cycle, every call, every crisis, every carefully crafted guilt trip. Each one designed to separate me from my money, and worse, from my own self-worth. The phone keeps buzzing, vibrating against my desk like a taunt. I stare at the scattered bills in front of me, physical reminders of all the so-called family emergencies I've sacrificed for. A hard knot forms in my throat, but my vision is clearing. I grab a pen and start to write, my hands still trembling. I will not be manipulated anymore. The words look strange on paper, foreign but freeing. I've spent so long being the good daughter, the reliable sister, the constant source of support. But as I sit in the growing darkness of my apartment, watching my mother's call fade into a missed notification, a terrifying thought settles in my chest. I don't know who I am without their demands. Every family member has played their part perfectly in this manipulation. Mom, the maestro of guilt trips, her voice always trembling with manufactured crisis. Dad, the enforcer, showing up at my workplace when I dare to hesitate. And Ethan, my baby brother, the one I've protected since childhood, wielding my love like a weapon. I press play one last time, watching them again with new eyes. Mom's perfectly timed. Sighs when she needs money. Dad's practiced scowl the moment I question anything. Ethan's wounded look designed to make me feel like I'm abandoning him if I say no. They've rehearsed this, refined it, perfected it. My phone lights up again, Ethan, this time. A text preview flashes across the screen. Sis, I really need your help with. I set the phone face down. In the sudden silence, a question rises that I can't push away. How do I break free? When every piece of who I am has been shaped by their manipulation, the answer is out there, somewhere beyond their reach. And for the first time in my life, I'm ready to find it. Have you ever discovered that the people closest to you aren't who you thought they were? Share your story in the comments below. The video replays, but this time I notice something I missed before. A series of notifications pop up along the top of the screen, frantic messages from Aunt Beth, appearing in real time as she recorded. Karen, are you sure about this? What if she finds out? We should delete this. My hands steady as the reality sets in. This wasn't just a careless moment of cruelty caught on camera. They planned this. Every laugh, every mocking comment, it was orchestrated. Mom's voice cuts through the speaker again, and the memories flood in like a toxic tide. Last month's desperate texts about the mortgage. Your father and I could lose everything. Is that what you want? The month before that, Ryan was in trouble. He needs help now. And 2 weeks ago, why weren't you answering? Family should come first. Each message perfectly timed, always when I was at my most vulnerable. Late at night after an exhausting shift. Early in the morning when my defenses were still down. The constant ping of notifications trained me like Pavlov's dog. A sound that meant one thing: you're failing us. Do more, give more. Dad's tactics were always more direct. I close my eyes and I'm back at my office 3 months ago. His broad frame looms over my desk, his voice loud enough for my coworkers to hear. Your mother's crying. Because of you. The humiliation, the pressure, the shame. Is this job more important than your family? I don't remember what I said that day, but I remember the answer I should have given. And this time, I think I'm finally ready to say it. The memory makes my chest tight. I transferred the money right there, fingers trembling on the keyboard, just to make him leave. Just like I always do. Ethan's voice drifts from the phone, his familiar laugh twisting into something ugly. Watch this, sis. I really need your help. It's an emergency. Works every time. My brother, my baby brother, the one I've protected since he was small enough to hide behind me during thunderstorms. The last time he called with an emergency, I canceled my vacation plans to help him. The time before that, I dipped into my retirement savings. Each crisis manufactured, each desperate plea, a performance, designed to separate me from my money and my self-worth. A text from Sophie lights up my screen, breaking through the spiral of memories. Hey, you've seemed off lately. Want to grab coffee? Jessica noticed something was wrong weeks ago. She gently suggested I talk to her mentor, Daniel, about setting boundaries. I dismissed her concerns, defended my family's honor, like a good daughter should. My fingers hover over the keyboard before I finally type. Are you free now? Her response is instant. For you? Always. Usual spot? I need this. Someone outside the toxic bubble of my family's influence. Someone who won't demand anything from me, except honesty. The phone rings. Mom's name flashes on the screen. Her voice is sharp and cold. What do you think you're doing? Without your money, this family falls apart. Is that what you want? I don't respond. Your father's health isn't getting any better, and Ethan's about to lose his apartment. She pauses, just long. Enough for the guilt to take root. Then comes the final blow. If you abandon us now, don't expect to ever be welcomed back. The familiar weight presses down, wrapping around me like a chain. But something else rises with it. Anger, hot, clarifying, burning away the fog of manipulation. My fingers move over the keyboard, typing out words I never thought I'd dare to send. I'm not sending money this month. The response is immediate. Accusations of betrayal. Reminders of everything they sacrificed for me. Threats of what my defiance will cost. Each message designed to break my resolve. to force me back into line. My phone buzzes again, but this time it's from Michael. Jessica told me what's happening. Remember, setting boundaries isn't betrayal. Call me if you need backup. I stare at the words. Let them settle. But before I can respond, my laptop screen blinks with a new email notification. The subject line stops my breath. Regarding Lily's account, next steps. I open it with trembling fingers, and my world shifts. There, in crisp black and white, is an email chain between my family members, detailing their plans for the coming months. Each crisis scheduled and scripted, each guilt trip carefully crafted to maximize impact. They've been coordinating their attacks, timing their demands so I never have a chance to build my savings. Never a moment to question their motives. The evidence sears itself into my mind. This isn't just about money. This is about power, about control, about the systematic destruction of my independence, disguised as family obligation. Mom's contact photo flashes on my phone again. That practiced smile. That mask of warmth hiding every manipulation, every lie. For the first time, I let it ring unanswered. My eyes stay locked on the email that changes everything. My shoulders tense as Karen's voice cuts through the bustling office, sharp and precise as a surgeon's blade. How dare you ignore my calls? The words slice across the marketing department's open floor plan, drawing curious glances from my colleagues. I grip my coffee mug tighter, willing my hands not to shake. Mom, I'm at work. The words come out steadier than I feel. Behind me, I hear Sarah from accounting pause her typing. Oh, so now you're too important to help your family? Karen's laugh crackles through the speakerphone, the same calculated laugh I heard in that video. What happened to being grateful for everything we've done for you? Heat creeps up my neck as I notice Tom, my supervisor, emerging from his office. His eyebrows rise at the commotion. I fumble to switch off the speaker, but Karen's voice has already achieved its intended effect. The damage is done. Later that evening, at Bellini's restaurant where the families gathered for Uncle Mike's birthday, I slide into a corner booth, hoping to stay invisible. But Mark's voice carries across the white tablecloth and wine glasses, loud enough to ensure everyone hears. Some people, he announces to the table of relatives, swirling his third glass of Cabernet, think they're too good for family once they get a fancy office job. His eyes fix on me, lips curling into a smirk. Isn't that right, Lily? The fresh bruise to my reputation stings, but something else rises in my chest, a familiar pressure, building like steam in a kettle. I watch him take another self-satisfied sip, and suddenly, I'm tired. Tired of being the punching bag. Tired of measuring my worth in dollars withdrawn. Tired of the performance. I set down my fork, the clatter against fine china drawing attention. Actually, Dad, I think it's more that some people view family as an ATM rather than actual relatives. The words surprise even me with their clarity. Mark chokes mid-sip, Aunt Susan's eyes widen, and she knows exactly what I'm referring to. The video, the one she accidentally sent, still burns in my phone, a digital smoking gun. That night in my apartment, I stand before the bathroom mirror. The woman staring back looks different somehow, shoulders straighter, jaw set with newfound determination. I think of Karen's performance at my office, of Mark's theatrical dismantling of my character at dinner. Each attempt to shame me has only crystallized something I've been afraid to admit. Their power over me exists only because I've allowed it. My phone buzzes on the counter, another text from Ethan. Hey sis, I hate to ask, but I'm in a really tight spot. I let it sit unanswered, focusing instead on my reflection. The constant pressure of their demands has shaped me like water shapes rock, wearing away at my edges until I fit the mold they created. But erosion can be stopped. Damage can be reinforced. I grab my laptop and open a new document. My fingers hover over the keys for a moment before I begin typing. Documentation of financial exploitation. The title stares back at me, both terrifying and liberating. I begin listing every emergency payment, every guilt-laden transfer, every manipulation disguised as family obligation. The numbers add up quickly, far too quickly. Years of helping with mortgages, car payments, and Ethan's endless crises scroll down my screen. Each entry reinforces my resolve. This isn't help anymore, it's systematic exploitation. A new text lights up my phone. Jessica, this time. Coffee tomorrow? I've been worried about you. Jessica, who's watched this pattern play out for years. Jessica, who's never asked me for a dime. I text back a quick yes, something warm in my chest that feels like hope. The next morning, the familiar scent of coffee and pastries at the daily grind wraps around me like a comfortable sweater. Sophie slides into the seat across from me, and I notice Michael, my old mentor from grad school, approaching with 3 steaming mugs. "I hope you don't mind," Sophie says, her voice careful. "I asked Daniel to join us. We're worried, Lil." Daniel sets down the coffee and fixes me with the same steady gaze that got me through my thesis anxiety. "Your father came by my office yesterday," he says quietly, "making some interesting claims about your mental state." The old Lily would have crumbled at this news, but I think of the documentation waiting on my laptop, Karen's public performance, Mark's wine-soaked accusations. I wrap my hands around the warm mug, drawing strength from its solidity. "They're escalating," I say, surprised by the clinical tone in my voice, "because they're losing control." Sophie reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. "You don't have to go through this alone." Daniel nods, pulling out a business card. "I have a friend who specializes in financial abuse cases. Just to understand your options." I take the card, its edges sharp and clean against my fingers. On its blank white surface, I see possibilities I've never allowed myself to consider. The pressure in my chest transforms into something else. Not quite peace, not quite triumph, but perhaps the first real breath I've taken in years. "Just remember." Ethan's voice cuts through the weekend quiet of Thompson Park. "Everything our parents did was for you, Lily. The music lessons, the college tours." He gestures broadly to our gathered friends at the community barbecue, his voice carrying across the lawn. While I had to figure everything out myself, I watched the faces of our childhood friends shift uncomfortably. Classic Ethan, turning every gathering into a performance of his victimhood. "Tell them about the car they bought you," he continues, voice dripping with mock sweetness, while I had to take the bus. "The car they convinced me to co-sign for?" I ask, voice even. "The one I'm still paying off 5 years later?" His face reddens. "There you go again, twisting everything. You know what your problem is, Lily? You're selfish. You've always been selfish." Something inside me snaps. Years of swallowed responses rise to the surface. "Selfish?" My voice carries across the stunned silence. "Was it selfish when I drained my savings for your business venture? Or when I worked double shifts to cover Mom's mortgage?" Each word feels like breaking free from invisible chains. "Tell them about the video, Ethan." His eyes widen. "The one where you all laughed about your little ATM." He pales, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Around us, the murmurs begin. Later that night, I sit cross-legged on my bedroom floor, surrounded by old photo albums. Each smiling family photo now tells a different story. The Christmas I couldn't afford a vacation because of Dad's emergency. The graduation where Mom guilted me into paying Ethan's student loan instead of putting a down payment on a house. My fingers trace the edges of a photo from my first job celebration. I'm beaming at the camera, unaware that my starting bonus would disappear into Karen's credit card debt the very next week. Tears blur my vision, but they feel different now, not tears of hurt but of release. At my desk, I open my laptop. The documentation I started grows more detailed: dates, amounts, screenshots of texts. Each piece of evidence transforms from a source of shame into a weapon of truth. I create folders to organize years of financial records and start recording every interaction as a plan takes shape in my mind. Not just escape, exposure. My hands pause over the keyboard as I open a final folder buried deep in my email archive. Inside, something I'd nearly forgotten, a message that could change everything. I find what I've been looking for: the original loan documents for the house, the ones with my signature forged in Karen's hasty scrawl, the missing piece that changes everything. I stand before the mirror again, but this time, I don't see a victim. I see a woman who's done being the family scapegoat. I will not be manipulated anymore, I declare to my reflection, voice steady and clear. I will not be their ATM. The pressure in my chest transforms into something else. Not quite peace, not quite triumph, but perhaps the first real breath I've taken in years. The cursor blinks on my screen, steady as a heartbeat. I've typed and deleted the email subject line 7 times now, but the words finally feel right. Financial record of family support 2020 to 2024. My fingers hover over the keyboard as I review the spreadsheet one last time. Every transaction, every guilt-laden transfer, every emergency payment is meticulously documented. The numbers tell their own story, one of systematic exploitation that makes my stomach clench. "Send me your bank statements," Daniel had advised yesterday. "We'll build an ironclad case." My mentor's steady voice echoes in my mind as I copy the data into the email body, each line an indictment. January 2020, emergency roof repair, $8,400. February 2020, mom's overdue medical bills, $3,200. March 2020, Ethan's car trouble, $2,800. The list stretches endlessly. 4 years of financial drainage perfectly cataloged. My hands shake slightly as I add the total at the bottom. $147,632. Nearly my entire life savings, gone to feed their endless needs. The phone rings, mom's ringtone. I silence it without looking, focusing instead on the final paragraph of my email. This will be my last communication regarding financial support. Any further attempts to extract money will be met with legal action. All documentation has been shared with my attorney. I hit send before I can second-guess myself. The whoosh of the sent email feels like a door slamming shut. The response is immediate and explosive. My phone erupts with notifications, and mom's voice trembles in her voicemail. "How dare you air our private business like this after everything we've done for you?" I delete it mid-sentence. Dad's messages come next, his tone sharp enough to cut. "You ungrateful little," delete. A text from Ryan pops up. "Way to stab your family in the back. Real. Classy, sis." I screenshot it for evidence and block his number. The cafe where I meet Sophie for lunch becomes my sanctuary from the digital onslaught. The familiar scent of coffee and pastries grounds me as I slide into our usual corner booth, but peace is short-lived. Ethan's voice cuts through the ambient chatter. "There's my sister, the family traitor." He's already halfway to our table, cheeks flushed with what I recognize as his performative rage. Everyone wants to hear how she's abandoning her own blood. The cafe falls quiet. My chest tightens as heads turn our way. This is exactly the kind of public scene I've always dreaded, the reason I've given in so many times before. But something has shifted inside me. I meet his gaze steadily. "You mean how I'm refusing to be your personal ATM anymore?" A couple at the next table snickers. Ethan's face darkens. "You've taken everything from us," he spits. "Actually." I pull out my phone, opening the spreadsheet. "I can show you exactly who took what from whom. Would you like me to share it with everyone here?" The color drains from his face. He backs away, nearly stumbling into a waiter's tray. "You've changed," he mutters, but the venom in his voice has been replaced by something that sounds almost like fear. "Yes," I say simply. "I have." Later that evening, in the community hall I rented for this purpose, I stand before my extended family with a projector remote in my hand. The screen behind me displays the first of many damning pieces of evidence: screenshots, bank statements, recorded conversations, all meticulously organized. "I've called this meeting," my voice carries clearly through the stunned silence, "to ensure complete transparency about our family's financial situation." Click. Mom's frantic text messages about fictional emergencies fill the screen. Click. Dad's threatening emails demanding more money. Click. Ethan's manipulative pleas for just one more loan. Aunt Susan's hand flies to her mouth. Uncle Paul stares at his shoes. Cousin Hannah whispers something to her husband that makes him shake his head in disgust. As I continue my presentation, I watch the family's carefully constructed facade crumble with each revelation. The web of lies unravels further, the power they've held over me for so long dissolving in the harsh light of truth. My phone buzzes with a notification. Sophie has posted our cafe confrontation online, accompanied by a fierce defense of my actions. Michael's response appears moments later, sharing my documented evidence with his considerable professional network. Other supporters join in, their voices creating a shield wall of solidarity around me. The mighty Linda and Mark, my manipulative parents, sit frozen in their chairs, their usual arsenal of guilt and threats rendered useless by public exposure. Ethan, my once cocky brother, seems to shrink with each new piece of evidence. I end the presentation with a final screenshot, the video that started it all, the one where they laughed about exploiting my generosity. The sound of their cruel laughter fills the room, but this time it doesn't wound me. Instead, it feels like the final nail in the coffin of their control. As the crowd disperses, I catch a glimpse of something I never expected. Ryan, alone in the corner, his shoulders slumped as he stares at his phone. For a moment, the arrogant mask slips, revealing something that looks almost like regret. He quickly looks away when he notices me watching. Through the thin walls of the hall, I overhear Susan's voice, thick with emotion, as she speaks into her phone. "I can't believe what we've done to her all these years." She trails off, and I recognize the sound of someone grappling with their own complicity. Back in my apartment, I spread the evidence across my desk: bank statements, screenshots, recorded calls. My laptop screen glows with social media reactions. Each supportive comment another brick in the wall between me and my family's manipulation. I open a fresh document and begin typing: legal action, preparation phase 1. The familiar tension in my shoulders eases as I outline my next steps, each piece of evidence carefully cataloged, each potential legal argument mapped out. This isn't just reaction anymore, it's strategy. My hands are steady as I work, the trembling uncertainty of the past replaced by methodical purpose. A notification breaks my concentration. A new email. Sender, anonymous. Subject line, cryptic. Message preview. The final piece of the puzzle is closer than you think. My heart pounds as I read the words. Whatever this is, it could change everything again. Then, another ping. A legal notice lands in my inbox, sharp and cold. Another one. I've received 15 similar messages in the past hour, each more threatening than the last. "You've heard my family's version of events," I say into the microphone, my voice carrying to every corner of the room. About duty, about obligation, about the daughter who betrayed their trust. I let the words hang for a moment, scanning the faces in the audience. Some sympathetic, some skeptical, all waiting for what comes next. Mom sits stiff-backed, her lawyer whispering urgently in her ear. Dad's arms are crossed, his jaw tight with barely contained rage. Ryan won't meet my eyes. The room is silent, the kind of silence that holds weight, that demands truth. "Now, let me tell you mine," I continue, plugging in my USB drive. The projector screen flickers to life behind me. For years, I was told family meant sacrifice, giving until there was nothing left of me, and I did. Every paycheck, every savings account, every dream, drained for the sake of their emergencies. The first slide appears, a financial breakdown of the $147,632 siphoned from me over the years. Gasps ripple through the crowd. I flip to the next slide, screenshots of text messages, each one a carefully calculated plea, each one designed to guilt me into compliance. Mom's familiar script, Dad's veiled threats, Ryan's promises to pay me back that never came true. Then the forged loan documents appear, my own signature falsified in Karen's careless scrawl. My voice remains steady, though my hands grip the podium tightly. This wasn't support, this was exploitation. I click again, and the video plays, the one that started it all. Their laughter fills the hall, echoing louder than I remember, each cruel word slashing through whatever dignity they have left. The weight of their manipulation, so carefully hidden behind polished smiles and well-rehearsed lines, now laid bare for the world to see. When the screen goes dark, the silence stretches. Then, the whispers start. The shift in the room is palpable. For the first time, my family's presence isn't commanding, it's suffocating. Their power is gone. Mom's face is frozen in horror, Dad's hand clenches into a fist on his knee, and Ryan looks small, as if he wants to disappear. The cameras flash, reporters murmur, pens scratch against notebooks. Their fabricated image of unity, of sacrifice, of the perfect family, is crumbling in real time. A journalist stands. "Miss Carter, what do you hope comes from this?" I take a slow breath, feeling lighter than I have in years. Accountability, awareness. And most importantly, for anyone watching this who has been told they owe their family everything, I want them to know that they don't, that their worth isn't measured in dollars sent, sacrifices made, or silence kept, that they can walk away. The murmurs grow louder. My phone vibrates with more messages, but I don't check them. This moment isn't about them anymore. This is about me, about taking back my life, my voice. Mom opens her mouth as if to speak, but nothing comes out. No pre-rehearsed line, no manipulation left to spin. Dad stares ahead, face tight with controlled fury, but even he knows it's over. Ryan just looks tired. As the meeting adjourns, as the press swarms, as the reality of everything sets in, I realize something. I am free. For the first time in my life, I am free. I pause, meeting each of their eyes in turn, but obligation isn't love, duty isn't family, and exposing abuse isn't betrayal. The applause starts slowly, building into a wave that drowns out my parents' attempts to interrupt. I watch their faces as their last grip on control slips away, replaced by the dawning realization that their power was always built on sand. The final battle takes place in a courtroom 3 days later. My lawyer presents our dossier to a panel of judges. The evidence is even more damning under the stark courtroom lights. Mom and Dad sit rigid in their chairs as the judge reviews years of financial manipulation, their faces growing paler with each documented instance of exploitation. When the judge speaks, her voice rings with certainty. The court finds clear evidence of systematic financial exploitation. She looks directly at my family. All claims on Miss Anderson's financial support are hereby nullified. The words echo through the courtroom for the first time in years. I feel truly free. The gallery erupts in supportive murmurs as my family's lawyer shuffles their papers, desperately searching for grounds to appeal. But we all know it's over. As I leave the courthouse, reporters thrust microphones toward me, asking how it feels to win, but my attention is caught by something else, my phone screen lighting up with a notification, an encrypted message from an unknown number. The final chapter is yet to be written. I take the phone away, feeling the weight of unfinished business settle alongside my victory. The truth has been told, justice has been served, but something tells me this story isn't over yet. Morning light streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long shadows across my newly renovated downtown Seattle apartment. The space feels different now, lighter somehow, as if the fresh paint and rearranged furniture have scrubbed away the lingering darkness of the past year. I arrange a silver frame on my desk, smiling at the photo of Sophie and me at last month's charity run. Next to it, I place the certificate from my self-empowerment workshop and a handwritten note from Daniel that simply reads, "You've got this." Such simple words, but they mean everything now. My laptop screen glows with my updated 5-year plan, the goals. I've set ambitious but achievable goals for expanding my marketing consultancy and leading workshops for others breaking free from financial abuse. Maybe even writing a book someday. Each milestone represents another step away from the person I used to be, the family ATM, the perpetual caregiver, the woman who measured her worth in sacrifices. The local cafe where I now sit with Sophie bears little resemblance to the place where I once huddled in corners, answering Karen's frantic calls about imaginary emergencies. The afternoon sun warms the wooden table between us as Sophie describes her latest project challenges. "The client keeps moving the deadline," she says, frustration evident in her voice. I take a thoughtful sip of my tea, considering her words. "Have you discussed implementing a change order process? It could help manage scope creep." The confidence in my voice surprises me. Not because the advice isn't sound, but because I remember a time when I wouldn't have trusted my own judgment enough to offer it. The community center's meeting room feels intimate with its warm lighting and circle of chairs. 10 faces turn toward me as I share my story, each person carrying their own burden of toxic family dynamics. Voice remains steady as I describe the video that changed everything, the battles that followed, and the freedom I found in finally saying no. "Recovery isn't linear," I explain, catching Michael's encouraging nod from the doorway. "Some days you'll want to give in, to believe their promises of change. But healing begins when you realize that protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary." The rain creates a gentle backdrop as I notice her, a woman standing outside the library, shoulders hunched, phone clutched in trembling hands. I recognize that posture, that look of desperate resignation. I'd worn it myself countless times. "Are you okay?" I ask softly, approaching with careful steps. Her name is Maria, and her story tumbles out between sobs, a familiar tale of family members who see love as a transaction, of guilt used as currency, of dreams postponed for others' emergencies. We find shelter under a nearby park pavilion, and I share my own journey, watching hope slowly replace despair in her eyes. The first step, I tell her, is believing you deserve better. Dawn breaks over Puget Sound, painting the water in shades of gold and promise. From my balcony, I watch seabirds wheel against the brightening sky, their freedom a reflection of my own. A text notification breaks the morning silence, Ryan. Probably another crisis, another demand. I don't open it. Instead, I think about the woman I've become, the one who helps others find their voice, who knows her worth isn't measured in dollars given or sacrifices made. The one who finally understands that real love doesn't demand self-destruction. The community art exhibit pulses with energy as I weave through the crowd, each piece telling its own story of resilience and renewal. A striking phoenix rises from scattered chains, its wings spread wide against a backdrop of breaking dawn. The artist, Sarah, catches my eye and smiles. "Your story inspired this piece," she says, extending her hand. I join a small group gathered near a multimedia installation, exchanging stories and contact information. A photographer named Alex shares his vision for documenting survivors' journeys. A counselor, Diana, discusses starting a workshop series for financial empowerment. Each conversation opens new doors, new possibilities. My phone fills with names, emails, social media handles, and tentative lunch dates. These aren't just networking contacts. They're the foundation of something deeper, authentic friendships built on mutual understanding and respect, not obligation and guilt. The future stretches before me, vast and unmarked, a blank canvas waiting to be filled with genuine relationships, personal growth, and dreams that belong solely to me. For the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of what tomorrow might bring. I am enough exactly as I am. What does freedom mean to you? Share your vision of a fresh start in the comments below.